All right. So, should we? What do we want to do? Do we want to stay on topic, or do we want to mix it up a bit? So let's find out.
I'd like to. So, what's your name?
Miriam. So, Miriam.
I like what Miriam was saying about the should we sort of subject children to adult subjects or visual imagery, or I think that's an interesting conversation.
So it's a very topical one as well, given we were just advised not to. Yeah, exactly. So, Margot.
I think it's such a hard job to do, though, just to keep young people out of exposure of into things which may be, a little bit too explicit or whatever. And the other day I was walking through my job, I was walking with a group of young girls in the street, and I walked past it, didn't even bat an eyelid, but one of them said, like, "Oh my God, it's like a whole wall with female breasts on it." She said, she was like a little bit not disgusted, because it wasn't clear whether these breasts were to signify something pure or were they just like pornographic. I think this girl's automatic reaction was like, "There's no need for this." And like, she's 13, do you know what I mean? And it's hard because you just don't notice that anymore as a grown-up, I guess. But maybe
I was going to ask, what do you feel particularly sensitive to
I don't feel sensitive at all. I don't like especially with violent games. I don't see how because with me I don't really get violent. I don't think I do either. But I know that some people do. Like my cousin, if you pretend to do anything violent, just pretend, because I don't know, just sometimes I'll go like that with a cricket bat, and then the rest of the day he goes and punches me or something like that. Like, it doesn't hurt, but he just does it.
So some people are more sensitive than others. Can I just get a final thought? So I'll get around to names as well.
Yeah. Original question arose, didn't it, because of the swearing, and if you keep certain language out of reach of children, then it becomes illicit and retains its power, and that's true. But particularly with swearing, is that something you want?
Yeah, it makes it become
because swearing, the whole point of it is that it's an emphasis, isn't it? But if it just becomes another form of expression, it loses its value.
Yeah, fair point.
No, I would disagree, because I would say, like,
thank you very much.
All expression has value. Doesn't matter what, Again, anyway, that's it. Sorry.
I just want to hear what Mike says, and then we'll get a round of names of everybody.
Like, when I quite often swear when there's some road rage thing, I'm getting frustrated, someone's driving too slowly, I go, "Fucking wanker, fucking..." Oh, oops, I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. Effing wank... effing... Anyway, you know what the point I'm making. And that is a release, you know what I mean? I can then just not be frustrated about that, and I think it is a point. If it was just normal language, then I wouldn't be able to have that release. So it's important to keep those words precious and make sure that they've got some kind of sacredness to them and not just like blurt them out at any moment. So I do sort of agree with the point that those words should be held onto a little bit, because actually some people that often, when they have strokes and they lose the power of speech, they can still swear because it's more basal.
Let me just before I get to you, let me just get a round of names off everybody, because although Mikey's memorised them, I haven't yet. So is my mic all right?
Just need to. There we go.
How's that?
Yeah. Perfect.
Cool. Great. So let me just get a round of names.
Thomas.
Margot.
Bob.
Stray.
Michael.
Tarquin.
Sophie.
Patrick.
Miriam.
Barry.
Changed his name.
Barry.
I thought you were Cleaver earlier. You were the one person whose name I actually remembered, and you've gone and changed it. And now we've got Barry. Okay, Barry. And my name is Rowan. So this is the second round of Talkaoke. The preciousness of words. I mean, what do people actually feel about this? Like, do people agree with what Mikey was saying, that we need to preserve them, we need to keep them actually hidden and censored so that they retain their power, or do we need to?
Love is the one word that people, I think, use too much, and
love is overused.
Yeah, I think so. Like
so
the word
the Beatles are wrong. Love is not all we need.
No, I'm not saying that. But I think that people do bounce it around quite a lot, and they don't always. I don't know if that's necessarily what they actually think.
It's an interesting one. So it's not just about censorship. It's
also about how you feel. And
so we are agreeing that different words have power.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah? What other words have power that are analogous to but not swear words? Because we can't use them. Like love, I think is a fantastic one because it's
hell.
Hell. Oh.
Hate.
Hate. Everyone hates things, but do they really hate?
Which,
Oh yeah, no, we're assuming swear words here are kind of like bandied up here. Yeah.
What I was going to say is like apropos the why do people swear so much, and or for instance, why do they use word love so much? I think that's kind of what you were saying, or use it kind of inappropriately in a sense, like there's no need to say I love this thing. Yeah, I love you, babe. Yeah, so I'm just kind of thinking, isn't it funny how they're like quite extreme words or like groups of words, and I think isn't that just to kind of punctuate our existence in a sense of like when I'm feeling angry, I'm really feeling effing angry. I'm really making a point of that. It doesn't matter that everybody's feeling angry sometimes a little bit, or somebody loves someone a little bit, but my love is actually, I'm really loving it now. I'm really owning that moment. I don't know. It's like people just want to punch it.
I don't think we should censor these words. I think. Yeah, it's they're very powerful ancient language that is
We should use them when we
But then how do we stop people from overusing them? Stray, and you were Michael?
Yes,
Cool, Michael,
I would say
yeah,
love is probably underused. It might be overused in some contexts, but like love and care is not talked about in political language or anything like that. And I think in that sense it should be used more.
So it's different context where it's okay.
Yeah, between relationships with just individual human beings may be overused, but should be used more in other contexts.
Let me just get to Margot first, because she.
I was going to say, like, for instance, care, something like that is like this. What's it called? Like, not soft skill, but soft quality. Whereas hard qualities are like more kind of masculine. But like something like care is just like, it's like non-tangible.
Tarquin and Sophie, let me get some final thoughts off you before you guys escape.
Compassion, I think that is something that really should be used a little bit more, actually, and I think that will be.
Do you mean just the word, or like we're talking just the?
Well, it's a feeling, it's a doing, it's a concept, but I think just saying actually, well, yeah, actually, maybe sometimes you should say it, but no, I think compassion is a word, not as in maybe a spoken thing that you say, but I think that's something that people need to do. Anyway, I'm going.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. Let me just come to Bob, and then I'll come to.
Yeah, I just think it's ridiculous, this idea that we're all thinking about what words we should use less or more, because this is not up to us. This is the whole idea. All that a noise really is like it's the parrot's core, isn't it? It's like it's a horrible noise, and we're attaching symbols to certain words based on our own memories, based on culture, all these kind of things. But all they are is primordial grunting, really.
And you can't really use it's impossible to language is a living, breathing thing. If we decide we should use a word less, or people should it's not going to work anyway. Like it grows and evolves completely.
So does that mean if we didn't censor swear words, that people would develop new ones?
But you just reduce language and a communication to something like very basic. But what about like poetry? What about using language as a something beautiful, as something malleable, and something that actually can expand?
Let me just come to Mikey.
It always annoys me when on iPlayer it says warning contains strong language, because I don't think that is strong language. Just swearing, it's not strong. It's quite weak language. Poetry,
what does constitute strong language?
I don't know.
It's the intent. Truth.
Okay, so it's something contextual again.
It's powerful, but strong language is powerful language, good poetry.
Not the words that have intent, but if something that is powerful is if you describe something with intent, not the word itself does not have any intent. It's the context, isn't it? Surely, I don't know. So, I'm sorry, I'm drifting.
So, have you got any examples of this? I mean, you're talking about how things can be good and bad.
I guess so. Pass it to someone else. I'm lost. I'm lost.
It's fun to go down rabbit holes. Thomas has got a pamphlet.
Pigeons are disgusting. They're rats with wings. They hovel on their stumps and eat food out of bins. But what if I told you that a pigeon is a dove, the universal symbol of hope, peace and love? The only difference being pigeons live in towns, so their bright white feathers turned a mucky grey-brown. So next time you see a pigeon and you feel no affection, remember that you're hating on your own reflection.
Whoa! That's a good poem. Yeah. It's not often. Yeah, who wrote that?
It says Angry Dan.
Angry Dan. Angry Dan. Okay. Angry Dan the poet. Let's Google that. So you guys look like you're escaping. You know what that means?
Not escaping.
We need some final thoughts.
I want to meet Angry Dan, and I think that poem tells us a lot about the assumptions and judgments we make because of what we've been taught and what we've known all our lives, but really we should be looking beyond. And I like pigeons. I like all birds.
Barry, final thoughts.
I don't know. Everyone enjoy themselves.
Everyone, that's more of a command, but I like that. Okay. And Patrick.
No, I'm a newfound appreciation for pigeons.
Newfound appreciation for pigeons. Cool. And it looks like Michael's trying to escape as well.
I'm going with Patrick. I would just say, yeah, I'm with the context thing. I think you can say almost anything, but it all depends on context. I think you can joke about anything as long as your heart is true. I think so.
So
in terms of words.
Does this mean we shouldn't be censoring individual words, but should be thinking about contexts in which words are used?
I just feel that the real reason that people are sort of hung up on swear words is more to do with an older generation, a different time when you had to use words which signified sort of a hierarchy of respect. So you know, you could only call someone a sir or a madam and this kind of thing. We've moved so far away from that old world now that it just seems absolutely ridiculous that people are still considering swear words to be really. They don't really have much power at all, other than, as Mikey was saying, catharsis in a traffic jam.
Yeah. So we've got some new faces around the table who might want to join us. We've got some chairs. Yeah, come and have a comfy chair instead of sitting on the grass. So I'm assuming you're giving eavesdropping on the conversation, and that we don't have to replay the whole thing. But we're loosely talking about. Kind of about the power of language. This conversation started because we were advised sort of not to use too strong language because there's a kids' workshop going over there, which is completely fair enough. But it got us talking about, like, well, why is that actually the case? Like, why should we be protecting people from certain words? Why do they have this power?
It's about an older generation. I understand that the older generation, it should be got over and that it is stupid, but it is still, I don't think you've got to still respect the older generation and respect that my nan, she's a nice person, she's still old and she still thinks swearing is outrageous, but she's still a nice person, she deserves respect, so I wouldn't swear in front of her. If I do, and then I'm like, oh God, so, but that's just it. And then with children as well, it's like, that's weird. I mean, if you had like a 4-year-old, would you know what I'm saying?
It's just about being polite and being aware of your surroundings and acting appropriately with where you are.
So complying.
Swearing. Not complying, just being respectful of your surroundings. Maybe you slip up now and again, a word comes out and you look round and you shouldn't have done it, but then you apologise and then you go and swear somewhere else. That's what I do.
Margaret, and I'll get a round of names after.
Okay, I just wanted to say that isn't it, like if you look at which words became swear words, they're very often like attached to something which is like quite taboo and stuff, and people having sex is no longer a taboo. So if you say the F word, which is kind of signifying, is it kind of like, well, you're not shocking anybody anymore, kind of thing. So. I just wonder whether we just need to like get with the program, just like accept these words. I don't know. Maybe.
Do we need new swear words for new taboos? Maybe it could be about paedophilia or something like that, or about, I don't know, what the new taboos. We need to know what those taboos are to generate new swear words.
We have new swear words. We've got the N word that no one's allowed to use. Well, I know, but it's a relatively recent taboo, isn't it? Yeah, so so a lot of them are around race or transgender or things like that. There are things that you cannot call by words that were acceptable in large amounts of the world 30 or 40 years ago.
So, before I get to Bob, can I just get a round of names firstly, because I haven't met you guys yet, and secondly, just to refresh my mind.
Hi, Matt.
We've got Matt.
Alex.
We've got Alex.
Joe.
Fee.
Stray.
Bob.
Margot.
Thomas. Mikey, the feedback Mikey, and what's your name there?
Melvin.
Cool, good to meet you guys. So we're talking about, amongst other things, the power of language, and particularly sort of swear words, and what new swear words have evolved, why sort of words can be swear words to begin with. So the idea has been raised that it's always slightly taboo things that become swear words, and
I was just going to say, responding to what Matt was saying, that I completely agree that we should respect other people not necessarily, liking that stuff. And that's essentially what you were saying as well, Fee. But I think we can't please everyone all the time, and we can't also necessarily, and we shouldn't second guess what people want before we've actually met them. I mean, if we conduct our lives feeling like we're constantly sort of pandering to each and everyone's personal taste, then we're not really living a true, a life as our true selves.
My
ma used to say you can't her first language was Puppy Minto, and all of the other languages were secondary. And she said you can't really swear in any of the other languages because it doesn't have that same clout. So a swear word in French or I don't know, Japanese doesn't have the same clout as the ones in your own language.
But is it because it was her first language?
Yeah.
So it's the language that was in her mind.
Yeah.
And...
What are some of those swear words? Do you know? You can't say them.
But
Not around the children, anyway.
For the one or two who might understand.
Speaking of...
Kuaku, actually. Kuaku. She said, no idea.
It's just a word you heard a lot.
It was on some like little kid wandering around. My mum would be saying all these things. It's like, no idea what she was saying. No idea what she was saying, but it's like...
But was she saying them to you? Was that how you know they were kind of swear words? You were doing something
No,
at
I
the
think
time?
it's because my pa used to say, many years later, it was like, yeah, that's...
Fair do. Sorry, Margot.
I think we were speaking earlier about what would the swears of the future be, but I think like there are some things, because like what is the purpose of swear words maybe also is like to insult somebody. I think one of the things that kind of I found like the worst insult that I have ever heard was somebody saying you are empty. That crushed me.
Yeah. Whereas we're allowed to say that word. We can say empty as loud as we like. But
Empty,
actually
because
the
if you
power
like
of
stop
it in
and
the
think
right
about
context.
it, it's like
yeah.
that really touches you to the bone. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's massive, and that is truly like I don't know. That makes you think. It's not just like F this.
Doesn't that mean you've got potential though? If you're empty, that you're ready. You know, you're ready to take on all these new things. Do you know what I mean?
A Spanish friend of mine was saying that the worst Spanish swear word was something about defecating on the graves of your family. But I don't know what I don't know what it was. But I don't know if she said it. And she said what it was, but it's like I don't know what that is.
It's interesting. I think you take the holy thing of like your deceased relatives, and then you do like the most disgusting. I'm not Spanish, no. I'm kind of trying to.
But again, it's about that taboo thing that
yeah, kind of
these
taboo.
guys were
It's like
talking about.
you never speak badly of your past relatives or something. Is that a thing?
What would be like something that isn't a swear word but that would insult you more than any swear word could? So we've kind of had that one from Margot. I find that quite interesting. I wonder if it's different for different people, like different things that people are quite touchy about.
You have to be like really honest with yourself, and just like you need to realize what your. I think the interesting thing is like the minute you realize what your sensitive point is, and then it takes a next step is for somebody to actually know you this well, to know what to say, to touch you so deeply. And I think the worst insult is not what people are saying, but it's like who do they come from? You know, if they're people close to you, they know how to press your buttons or push your buttons, both either. And I think the person delivering it sometimes may be the key.
Okay, let me just get to Mikey.
It just reminds me, a couple of years ago I told somebody I was a vegetarian and they said, you can't be a vegetarian, you're too fat. That was harsh, yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah.
There's another swear word. It's, you can't say people are fat.
What are you meant to say?
I got no idea, but it seems to me to be obese.
Because that can be relative to what someone's view of fat is as well. So if someone's got a warped view of what's fat, then you can actually psychologically damage someone by calling them that when they're not. So that's why, and there's such a huge history now of mental illness and eating disorders and the link. And that is why, we evolve, and we evolve, and we become more sensitive to each other's needs, so we don't offend each other, so we don't make them ill.
Okay. So in that situation, we are avoiding dealing with something that is a health issue for people because we're stepping away from it and not.
I'm not talking about people that are obese. I'm talking about people that are like a teenage girl that's sort of a little bit plump, and then she gets called fat, and rather than just losing her puppy fat and doing some exercise, she could get an eating disorder.
But hang on, let me just get to straight and then I'll
But the biggest eating disorder now is overweight.
Of course.
Yeah.
Although in the UK, in America, in the Western world, anorexia is a massive thing as well. If you tell a girl that she's too skinny, that could make her
maybe.
Even less. Perhaps it's not on such a scale, but I still think that counts.
So is weight generally just the modern swear?
I totally understand what you're saying though. And listen, I'm not saying I'm pro or against. We've got to. It's individual sensitivity. Because someone, if you'd call, I don't know, you might say that I'm fat. I don't think I'm fat. Someone else might think that I'm slim. Someone else might think, whatever. I know I'm healthy and I don't give a fuck. When one really thinks, but it's just like. you know, someone else might give a fuck, and that's what. Excuse me, I'm swearing.
Since that guy said you're too fat, I lost 9 kilos. I was hoping for a round of applause for that.
Oh right, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
But do you feel that was a good thing or a bad thing? Like, do you forgive this person, and do you actually maybe even thank them?
I didn't actually think I was fat, to be honest. But I did. It wasn't the main reason for losing weight. But then again, I now look at those photos of me from a couple of years ago, and I did think, well, I'm a little bit, you know, could actually lose a few pounds, shake a few pounds. So I think people should call it out. Do you know what I mean? People should. They shouldn't be that worried about it. But be too skinny or too fat.
But even if V was saying, like, but what if that sort of could damage someone negatively and not? Because it sounds like you had a positive experience, but someone might not.
I meant like everything's individual, isn't it? So everything's to each individual person. So one person might be able to go, oh great, cool, that's all right. I'll lose a bit of weight and feel better for it, and that's fine. Someone else might not. So it's you can't try and stop or make people say things certain ways, because that's just fascism. So it's like, you know.
You can't, but the reality now is that all of us think that we are about 1.5 stone lighter than we are in terms of our actual body image, you know, so we have this completely inaccurate perception of what our bodies are like, and we've normalized to accepting a heavier weight than is true. You know, we all think we're lighter than we are.
And I'm guessing conversely, like what Bobby said as well, some people are the exact opposite.
Actual medical BMI, do you mean in that relation? Because so it's actually gone up as a norm. Yeah. But sorry, but again, that's evolution.
Hang on, let's do my phone. Okay, yeah.
When I was a kid, I was diagnosed medically obese, and I was bullied. I was bullied a lot for being fat at school, and I think that the bullying was one of the reasons why I aimed to lose weight.
So again, like with Mike, it was kind of a positive experience. Let's just hear from Melbourne.
Okay, because you were talking about the lady in gold was saying stuff about people saying things when they knew them, and that was the most painful. So is that, because would that be swearing, or would that be people trying to hurt you? So there's a lot about what people are talking about with swearing. It seems like it's a means of actually hurting people as opposed to just expressing some, and sort of like and social control. When you're talking about being bullied and stuff, it all sounds like it might almost be like there's almost two different things that you're talking about.
It's said nastily or not, isn't it? It's whether it's said, you know, someone got that. If you know, I think it might be a good idea. You're a bit fat. I think, you know, do you think it's a good idea to lose weight? If someone said that to you, you know, and it really affects you badly, then that's something else going on. But if you went, you know, but if someone said you fat cow, you know what, you know, fat, get over, you know what, look at yourself, you're disgusting, you're fat. That's a bit different.
I guess what I had in my mind when I said what I said, it was that somebody calling you, like, I think people became quite flippant with calling each other the C word, and if somebody calls you that, I mean, if they mean it, then that kind of it doesn't look like if you actually genuinely mean to call somebody that, and you do, what are you actually saying about them? It's just it's such a template swear word now. It's like it doesn't really matter. But if you really want to hurt somebody in that context, then you can use something more specific for that person.
The question is though, that why is that word any different than just calling someone a dick? I mean, why is that word suddenly?
That's softer.
It's softer. Well, I mean, is it that it's just phonetically softer? The words like the same thing with the N word, the same thing with the C word. Is it that they're sharp words, or is it actually that what they signify is horrible for us to imagine?
I'd say that it is because of that strength in phonetics of the actual word itself. That's why they become fun words to say. I only know English, so I only know the English swear words, but that's why a big reason I think that we use them, because they're sort of fun to use our lips and to push them out in that way. It's different to saying something like, I don't know, car doesn't have the same emphasis as, well, pick a swear word. And it's that's what I think is the reason we use them.
Yeah. So but because they are playfully. So like what Margot was saying earlier about the reflection on sort of poetry. Like you can play with words, and they're fun words to play with. So
I was driving with a Spanish friend, and I was trying to explain to him what the difference between driving like a twat, driving like a dick, and driving like a cock was. And it seemed, I didn't really thought about it myself, but then it seems to be that it's like the level of intent. Like somebody driving like a twat is actually just not realising that they're driving badly, or someone driving like a dick is being like relatively antisocial and aware that they're being antisocial. Someone driving like a cock is like really driving badly, and they don't give a shit about what other people think. So, but whether it's got anything to do with genitalia, I don't know. It's just
is that just a coincidence?
It's just how the language evolved.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Again, it's because they're fun words. Is it because they're just the fun words?
They're kind of fun words, and also I think if you are enjoying yourself, then you're more likely to be like more open. So I think words like love, they're like really open, like a lot of vowels. Whereas like words that when you like when you're going through some like turmoil and struggle, it's like it's already kind of in you tense up muscles, teeth, I don't know, whatever, jaws, and that's how these words get produced, I think, and it's fun to say them, I think, as well.
Let's just
my name's Milan.
I was going to say let's get your name as well.
Milan Suman. Hello everyone.
Milan.
Hello.
Cool.
I think that you're absolutely right. It's that thing of where you can't actually describe many things. For example, you cannot even begin to define love, and we all experience it, we all know it exists. So we kind of make little things up that are always going to be the development of language, where a group of people associated that sound, that syllable, that with that emotion, and it's a good thing. The more words we have to be able to describe things, the more we can be able to deal with them and enjoy them as well.
More words are better.
Isn't it that thing of the swearing thing? I guess it does come down to kids, doesn't it, really? Like whether, if you have children, I don't know, but if you had children, would you be okay with them calling the or like saying it?
What are people's individual opinions on?
Well, so what are we trying to protect the kids from? Are we trying to protect them from the words or the concepts behind them?
Well, is it protection even? Is
what? Sorry.
Is protection even the question here, though? Is it protection? That's kind of like a strong term. It's not protection, is it?
It's more like embarrassment, because like my parents used to swear all the time, but then when I went to school and started swearing and got into trouble for it, they felt really seriously embarrassed about that.
Yeah. So it's not like protection. It's more like I guess in some ways it's not protection. It's more like you have to keep up with the Joneses, and you have a certain level of status and whatever else, and you have to be able to fulfil.
This has come up a little bit as well about the
family,
context of things. Like so it's a very sort of culturally defined thing, which is why we've got our interesting words in English.
Like what I was saying, when you have like a word that a group of people know, it unites people as well. Then you become that culture. It's like that's a thing. You can't ignore that.
I'm kind of curious to know if Thomas, have you ever got in trouble for swearing?
Hang on, let me remember.
That feels like a slightly masked yes.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think I remember I've sworn before, but then like another person swears afterwards, and then they get told off, and because
wow! So you've hidden behind someone else's folly.
Do we feel that words like, for instance, penis, could, in used in an insulting fashion, are swear words? I mean, should children be allowed to use those words all the time?
That's interesting.
If you look at the word twat, I mean that's kind of like a contentious one. On one way it's just twat, on the other way it's like, is female genitalia really that bad? But then again, is male genitalia really that bad when we call somebody a dick?
Well, this has come up a little bit, hasn't it? Like the difference.
I thought a twat was a pregnant fish.
Oh really? Well, I'm with both of you, but I would use it in female genitalia context as well. Yeah.
So what's the pregnant fish thing all about?
Camel thing as well. Something about a camel, like pregnant camel. Is that a git or something?
Are you thinking about douchebag? That's camel related.
But that's the thing, is we use these words. Like I use them for myself most of the time. Use the word twat. It's just it's like a generic term for like hipsters that live in Hackney. It's just twat,
Careful, that's going to be a lot of people at this festival.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a whole bunch of twats together in a field. Yeah. But I'm not really thinking about female genitalia or pregnant fish. I'm just thinking about people with colourful shirts living in Hackney.
Hey.
Or possibly Tower Hamlets. Do you know what I mean? And that the word twat sort of comes to mean that, and it's quite, in my mind, quite friendly.
Well, I find it. I don't know what I meant to interject, but I find it kind of ironic that being told not to swear has led to a conversation that's probably made us swear more than.
It's gone straight to the extreme.
Okay, so I think British people, English-speaking world, I don't know about America, if you've got a group of people who are comfortable with each other, they will swear at each other a lot, and it will be acceptable. And seeing British people being polite to each other usually means that they don't like each other.
I like this point. Melvin, what's
I wanted to say two different points. One point about lots of you're talking about sexual swear words, like, but there's lots of racial ones. Like, as a black man, there's the N-word that lots of black people have recovered, and other people find really disturbing and stuff. I mean, I find it particularly disturbing. That was one point. And sort of like, and there's lots of racist swear words that go about. So that's one whole thing. And the other thing that I wanted to say was about twatted, because like drunken people, it's like you get twatted, you get really drunk, and
Can I just say that you actually touched on what he was saying just there, where when groups of friends are together, they have words that they use, and everybody knows which context they're in, and they all trust each other, which is an important thing. But to restrict language is not such a good thing.
So,
and people,
so
I got a really close Nigerian friend from when I was in university. I'm 41 years old, so that's going back to like 1996, 95, and he always calls me Nick. You know, it's like, what's up, nigga? He's always calls me, you know, when we see each other, he's always like, what's up, Nick? You know, and for, you know, if I was to sort of like try and reciprocate that in a context of where I've invited him to, say, for example, the BFI or whatever, I wouldn't reciprocate with that in that context. But on my own, we're just like, you know, we can say whatever we want because we know there's no ill intention involved.
I had a friend. I've got a friend, and she almost fell out of her flatmate because she thought he was racist because he said the N-word. But he's got a whole bunch of friends, and they're like that. They sort of like say insults to each other, but it's.
Yeah, but this isn't even an insult. It's like, you know, that's how, you know, he always says, "What's up, Nick?" You know.
Yeah.
That's what he says.
Let me just come to Thomas and see what.
Yeah,
Thomas' thoughts
I really agree because like with my friends, we just do that all the time, and we know that we're not the thing that we've called each other. We just do it because. I don't know, we never really... Yeah, but if you do that to someone else and they're not your friend which we hang out with all the time, then they'll be insulted.
Well, it's like what was said over here. It's right, don't worry. It's sometimes like an actual sign of affection when you swear with someone because it's familiarity. It's actually a positive thing. Whereas if it's...
That's actually really cool because, you know, you have touched on your apprehension of the fact that these things sometimes are not accepted. What we are really talking about is offence. And when we say offence is that somebody takes it out of context, they're getting on with their life, and all of a sudden they're confronted with something that they don't quite understand or they don't really, or they just see the key trigger. And that's something which is kind of horrible that we have to be tiptoeing around in society to this level because people might find offence. Whereas a lot of the times, you know, they've got lots of other issues that they need to be dealing with themselves that they're so angry.
I think particularly when we're talking about the N-word, I think proof that word is still really bad and it's still a word that holds a lot of really disgusting kind of power is the fact that those kind of usually Caucasian people who would use that term would never use that term in front of someone who was actually black. They would use it among their friends, but as soon as somebody entered the room who happened to be black, they would never use that word, which proves that they know what it means and they're not using it in just a funny way.
Okay.
Because I have lots of difficulty with that word because I like a bit of karaoke, and there's lots of songs. There's songs now that I like the song from Deadpool, and it's got and there's lots of songs that I like that are sang by black people that have got that in, and it's like, would I karaoke that? It's like.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with it? I haven't dealt with that yet. I haven't dealt with that yet.
It is that thing of space, like, you know, you are around people who have expectations, and we do this with our lives all the time in how we present ourselves, how we have interactions with our friends, our family, with the people that we work with. So you're always going to be trying to engineer a way that you present yourself, and you know what is expected, and you know your parameters, and so in some contexts it just becomes really awkward. You have to, you know, follow a thing because you don't really want to be associated with something else that's attached to it. Do you know what I mean? As in like the racists who would use that term.
Yeah.
And if you think about, you know, when you say in one way they will be talking about, you know, all of these horrible things, and then as soon as somebody from wherever they're targeting comes in and they stop, because it can be applied to anything, absolutely anything. It's not just race. It's like, you know, even job levels or whatever. It can be applied to lots of things. You have a dual personality. It's like one outward face and one real face, and that's a bad thing. I think anybody who has to have a dual personality in their life, in and around their society,
this is exactly kind of what Stray was saying a second ago. He was saying that you can spot a group of friends because they'll swear in front of each other happily. You can spot a group of enemies because they'll be excruciatingly polite. To sort of paraphrase a bit. But then you wanted
politics, though, because they have to be nice, because they have to be able to do stuff with each other. So they're in the same space. So they'll be extremely nice. This is where your protocol.
So let me just. Margot's just had a hand up. Okay.
I was just kind of curious whether you can be racist towards like white person to white person. The reason, because the reason why I ask that is like very often, not very often, but like you hear people like mocking somebody's accent, for instance, and that's done on purpose. And I just kind of wonder,
what's really the difference between
but I'm just being funny. I'm just making a joke. I'm just speaking like Borat because all Eastern Europeans speak like this. Obviously not. But do you know what I mean? It's just like that's kind of lighter than just calling somebody out on the skin color, which is like, whoa, don't do that. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, how's that?
The only way that you can insult, if you're a white person, insult another white person is usually by talking about their class or talking about their sexuality. That's it.
So it's not just necessarily race, but we're talking about other.
So I would disagree. People do use "I ginge" as a sort of context, and ginger, and there's a sort of Irish historical context to that, and very very pale skins. So that is a white on white racial comment. Yeah.
It is about them and us, right?
Yeah.
Do you know something? Actually, that you just made me realise. A friend of mine, she's ginger, but she's dyed she's got dyed hair, ginger. But whenever she's the nicest person you would ever meet in your life. But and she's fragile, beautiful, like woman. And whenever she goes out, very often, never happened to me, in the same way as it happens to her. People just like they just mutter under their breath, it's like, oh, ginger or something. Do you know? It's like what? Right. Or like, oh, whatever, calling her names or something. And she reckons that it's got something to do with her ginger hair colour. It's like, wow. But that's kind of to reiterate the point that there is obviously that meant as an insult as well.
My girlfriend is red-headed, and she told me that when she was like going through school,
you said that like someone with the apprehension who knows they're about to maybe slip up and say something slightly wrong.
Not at all.
No.
And she told me that when she was in school, like on a daily basis, like men would shout out of cars at, like a 12-year-old girl, ginger. You're talking about men that are like, these adults with professions rolling down their windows and shouting at children. It is there.
Yeah.
And then an Australian term of offence at other Australians is a redneck, which is someone who's been out in the sun too much and usually has got very racist views and is from the Northern Territories. Yeah,
American as well.
Yeah.
Assuming that everyone is like that, I'm just saying that even different parts of England, you can have someone like Northern Scum, Southern Softy, all that, if you're from London, if you're in this part of London, you're like that, it's racial, but it's definitely, it's just bigotism.
Cultural.
People in the next village get picked on. Like, you give people a border, any sort of border, then they'll get picked on by the other people because they've run out of things to say to each other, or they have to have an enemy. There has to be an enemy somewhere, even soft enemy.
I wanted to actually just say, and I'm really glad that you all had a chance to say all those things you did, because we started off this conversation, or rather I joined the conversation when we were talking about poetry and words that describe things, and to be able to have different words that describe different emotions, that can be a really good thing. However, in this conversation, it's come to the full circle where the snake eats its tail, where actually having all these stupid words of whether you're a racist or whether you're sexist or whatever, it's all bullshit. You're either an asshole or you're not. And that's what we should do. And it's like, just forget about everything else. Stop this labeling. Stop like, I need to with this movement, or I'm with this movement, so dividing us all, divide. It's either assholes or you're not.
So the words are irrelevant to the people saying them.
I think I would disagree if I understand what you're saying, because I think a lot of the swear words and a lot of the things, they seem to be it's very hierarchical thinking. It's like you're either in this in crowd or you're not in this in crowd, and if you're not in this in crowd, then these words and stuff are a way of putting you down and underlining the fact that you're not within the hierarchy, and I'm higher up or you're lower up than me, and it's a power hierarchical thinking
let's take
whole
the
process.
example of ginger,
I'm just going to get to Bobby. Sorry, I'm just going to screw that lid back on.
No, I think the other problem is that okay, there are arseholes and then there are nice people, but at the same time, that if the nice people use these words because they go, hey, we're nice, we don't really mean it. Of course, we're not using this in a hateful way. The arseholes are the ones that view that media or hear that voice, and they confuse it as being an A-OK to being able to use those words in the way they do as arseholes.
But is this why we protect? Is this perhaps the same reason why we protect children from it, because of misappropriation?
I'd like to counter that by just saying that it's the same as slapping every child's wrist in the class when somebody's been naughty and they haven't owned up. It's fucking bullshit. We can work a little bit harder than that. We're better than that. We can think things through. We don't have to go for the easy fucking target.
Somebody was saying it's like fascism, like language fascism. Yeah.
To try and control, I mean, we can't control what anyone says. It's a lady who was there earlier, it's an organic thing, it will just do, we will all just say what we want anyway. But it's just to try and make notice of that, not to be mean. It's like, you can say something to someone, but not be mean. It's like, how simple, it's that simple.
But how do you stop people from trying to be mean, though?
Well, you can't, I guess. You can't, that's why there will always be arseholes. And I don't know if you actually will ever be able to do that, to be honest, I really
Lady who's just joined us, how do we stop people from being mean?
Work in 10 minutes.
That's all right. We've got 10 minutes will be well spent.
So my thing is like when
so
people...
guys, let people speak their turn. Guys.
So
Hatman.
Guys,
come on. It's a round table discussion.
I can't remember what I was going to say now. Actually.
About how we make people be good, or how could we, etc.
What really fucks me up is like when people are just lovely and then they turn like really weird because of. So I came out. My parents just completely changed their like attitude towards me. And they were like, but you don't look like, I was meant to conform in a certain way, I was meant to look a certain way, like and I've grown up with that and like 12 years of Catholic upbringing and all that stuff. But they're the loveliest people, and all my friends were so surprised by how they reacted. They were just like, it was really bad. Like they were completely different, and they're normally just lovely people, but they didn't realise what they were doing was wrong, and I tried to like kind of tell them, but from a small town, and I guess just. I was telling them that they're wrong because they were saying like I learned how to.
There is no question.
They were just sorry. I'll finish a minute. They said like I learned how to be at uni and stuff like that, and you can't say like you can say you're wrong, but you can't say.
It's not about, you can't just keep putting labels because that just makes you either focus on one thing or the other. You are either empathetic to the people around you or you're an asshole. That's the bottom line. And that's what I'm talking about, in that if you keep putting labels and saying that this is what it is, it's all the same power struggle, and if we take the labels away, there's a lot more unification.
But you necessarily an arsehole. What about people who just lack empathy through no fault of their own?
Well, someone like, not just taking the movies here, but someone like Quentin Tarantino, who everyone thinks is a pretty cool guy. Well, a lot of people think he's a pretty cool guy. He's made a lot of very popular films. He's made films now with black people in the starring role, black actors. But at the same time, he's a guy who, he himself in Pulp Fiction utters, I think, the N-word about sort of 5 or 6 times in one scene. I mean, Spike Lee called him said that he feels that Quentin Tarantino thinks he's an honorary black man, and I think that's also a problem. He might be a cool guy, but he's using these words in a way that isn't necessarily right.
He's a character, and he's a character who's a really close friend of one of the main characters, and he's gone over there to get this favour, so he's a close friend of this character, just in the same way with my Nigerian friend, he'd be calling me Nig. It's like, you can't sort of say that he's made a statement there. He's just played a character, and those characters exist. So
I wanted to say to you when you were saying about when you came out and stuff, because I remember when I came out, like my mum, this decades and decades ago, my mum sort of like, if it's something that people don't expect, if their whole view of you, their whole expectations of you, then that really shakes people up, and so they've got to readjust their whole viewpoint on how you are, what you are. And I think lots of people find changes in their expectations of you. Because I think one of the things I find very interesting is how like people like labels, and labels, it's very easy to put somebody in a label, in a box, but then if you've been labelled, then it's hard to not be influenced by that and almost want to comply to that label.
Yeah, like... So we went on a family holiday.
Come a little bit closer because I've got no heel on this.
Okay, I've got 5 minutes. So we went on a family holiday like 2 weeks after I came out, like 2 years ago, and I noticed my mum was like watching me kind of around the swimming pool, and she would say things like, "You always used to watch guys," and things like that. So then I had to make I had some kind of paranoid thing after, but like I had to make sure I wasn't like looking at guys at all, and just as humans we look at everyone, you know, we're interested in everyone, but it's just, so I had to just be like, okay, just like, and I made an extra effort to look at women, and like I'm not, you know, but so I've got to like exceed the expectations of me, of who I am, and it's like if I don't live, so.
Can I say, because like I would define myself as gay, but I know lots and lots of people that I would probably define as bisexual, and it becomes a whole complicated, and sort of like, and then lots of people that I know that are gay go in a different direction at some points and stuff, and then there's all the stuff about transgender stuff and stuff. It's I think all of those labels, people really want people to put people in boxes and them to be.
I think it just makes people feel more comfortable with being able to accept something they don't understand. The thing, we can't ever understand anyone else completely, never. And you can't even understand maybe why someone is an arsehole as well. Sometimes someone is an arsehole and there is a reason they're an arsehole. So there's also that other layer of, the lady said earlier about compassion, you know, it's like, okay, you might have called me a cunt on the train, you know, because I knocked my bag into you and I didn't mean to. But, you know, instead of, you know, going back at them with more hate, you know, think, well, maybe they've had a shit day, I'm really sorry, you know. But, you know,
So with these ideas, does language seem to help or hinder in this case? I mean, it sounds like if there was less...
It's the same way as like you can climb up a mountain and jump off and kill yourself. Your body is there to help you or hinder you as well. It's the same thing. And so we use it in the way that we want to use it. You can abuse ourselves and eat lots of sweets and go really fat.
Bobby, I'm going to get a final thought.
Yeah.
Let me just get a final thought from Bobby, who looks like he's escaping. To brush your teeth.
I just
you've got a toothbrush sticking out.
I just yeah, I do. I just think that I think the real root behind a lot of these words, whether they be words, whether you're bisexual, whether you're gay, whether you're, you know, whether we're talking about the N word or any of these other words, we're trying to put someone down, and it's really a way of controlling people on a mass level, and I think we need to make decisions about the way that we treat each other. And the way that these words still hold power in today's society.
And to not judge, and to think that, you know, just to don't judge someone, so don't, you know, then, because you build up things about someone, so you can say, oh, you know, you idiot, you know, they're really stupid, they're really this, they're really lazy, they're really, you know, and that you know, it's assumption and lack of compassion that makes you, you know, that creates.
But if it feels, yep, sure.
I was saying that the idea that like everyone's sentient, like, you know, you like when in the tube, you feel like you're the only person. Everyone else is like these like drones or automatons, but actually they're just. Do you know what I mean? So they're making that leap and saying, yeah, they are actually sentient, like what, you know, in an unpatronising way, like. Do you know what I mean? Because they actually exist. They exist.
So again, we're kind of talking about the lack of empathy between people is what makes people do bad. Let me just get some final thoughts from what was it, Joe and Alex. Cool.
Well, I think with regards to whether we should sort of censor swear words for children, and I think I agree with what Matt said about sort of just being aware of your surroundings and being respectful of where you are. I think that's ultimately it. Yeah.
And Alex, what was
I just want to say, thoroughly enjoyed the chat. Thank you very much.
Good stuff. Cheers. Thanks for. Oh, Fee, you're running away as well. Fee, you.
I'll go to do. I might be back.
All right, okay, cool. Yeah, definitely come back. Because somebody on the way out grabbed me. You see that like small black bag? There's a beer in there. Can you pass me the beer within the bag? I'm not fussed about the bag itself. and Matt, yeah, what's
Gonna go and get a drink as well.
You're gonna get a drink. Good stuff. All right. Well, cheers, guys. Oh, where are you working?
Guys, I'm over at the Red Kite. Come and see me. We've got David Bowie.
Is that a bar? I don't know this place
Let's
yet.
go.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, we've got David Bowie and...
Oh, you're doing the karaoke thing. Cool. Oh, thank you very much. Cheers, guys. All right, take care.
Oh, the Bowie thing.
Is it Bowie time?
Oh no, have we lost everybody?
Yeah. Come and join the Bowie thing.
Well, I can't. I've got to stay and babysit the table. Yeah.
I'm not going to get face painted, but I want the Bowie spin sauce.
Sorry, there's no photos in here. But
Cool. Yeah, come back. We're here today, tomorrow. Yeah.
Wicked, cheers.
No, I think I'm
Great. Well, in that case, we're going to have a few more seats. So why don't you guys who are sitting down come enjoy some of the shade and come and sit down here. We can talk about whatever you like. So it doesn't even have to be anything heavy. You can keep it kind of light. It's up to you guys. So what should we talk about? Where should we?
The Labour Party.
The Labour Party. Sure, let's get political. We could do.
You know,
Thomas, are you interested in politics as someone who is not allowed to vote?
Well, I don't really. Well, I don't really know much about it, but from what my parents say, like when some other party is one and why they're bad, I kind of feel angry about that. But I don't really know what the Labour Party is at all, really.
You don't know what it is. That's the interesting point. You know, no one knows what the fuck it is anymore. Sorry for my language.
Well, I mean, it looks like Melvin's about to sum it up for us. Also, Lady in Grey, do you want to come and join us rather than scratch your leg down there? Come and get
when you wanted to talk about the Labour Party, I wanted to say, do you think nowadays there used to be upper class, middle class, lower class, and that's still there. But do you think nowadays there's a media class, like all the reporters, and they speak and behave in a certain way, where the political class, who might have been called a ruling class or something, the other stuff, so they behave and think and act in a completely way, and that a political person of the political class is more similar to another person of the political class than to anything else?
Oh, it's sort of a bit Orwellian, isn't it? It's
No, I think if you look at like who are the Labour MPs, who are these people, you know, like you can look them up individually online, right? And they're not fucking, you know, a lot of them come from their communities, the communities they represent, right? You know, there's normal people,
about the Labour Party.
largely like Labour more than Tory, obviously, but Labour MPs are on the whole just like you know the prefects at school who got involved and like did shit while we were smoking drugs. It's those people who's carried it through into like adult life, just like the you know, do you know what I mean? Like you know, the sort of.
I mean, does everyone feel that politicians are like the gatekeeper, the prefects of society? Are they the prefects?
Yeah.
I mean, Tom, has your school got prefects?
Well, I'm at primary school at the moment, and in September when the summer holidays end, I'll be in high school. So that's
school. Whoa.
That's
proper like big school, yeah.
Yeah.
You scared?
A bit. Well, I'm not. The only thing I'll be scared of is the amount of homework you get.
Yeah, I'd be scared of that as well.
There's so many more chicks than what you used to.
Well, we say that. You've made the assumption he's going to. Are you going to a mixed school, a boys' school, a girl? Not a girls' school. Well, actually, you could do something. You can. No, there is actually like quotas for boys' schools, girls' school. Yeah, exactly. I was going to say. What are you going to a school that has a gender divide, or
no?
You're just going to a mixed school.
So
Good
there's
stuff.
so many new chicks. It's incredible, man. You know, there's like the few girls in your middle school. Like, yeah, she's pretty hot. She's got a rep. Right, she's probably the best looking girl in the class. All this new fresh meat coming into the. Do you know what I mean? It's gonna be good.
Melvin.
Big intake of breath. Oh, gender issues. Oh my God. Yeah. Anyway, on that side, and on the second note, politicians and reporters as a self-selecting group, self-selecting group of people that I don't know.
Yeah. The self-aggrandizing type.
Self-selecting.
Yeah.
It's a self-selecting class.
What about that? What about you?
You were saying about the Labour Party people were
prefects, like,
Oh right, so yeah,
who are these people, right?
Yeah.
In response to your question, like, is there a ruling class, is there a political class, an elite or whatnot? Yeah. I don't think. I wouldn't say
actually,
class.
Can I just put a pause because I just want to get a round of names and things because we've got a couple of new faces. I don't think we've got your name yet. So we've got Thomas, we've got Melvin, and we got Philip.
Okay. Will.
Cool. Well, welcome to Talkaoke. So, for those who've just joined us, this is Talkaoke. It's a pop-up talk show where we can talk about anything. I am here to just kind of adjudicate conversation. I'm not here to have opinions. And my name is Rowan. And I want to get the ball rolling. So, what we
where is this? Because it's being recorded or something. Where is it going?
Is it all being recorded?
We're recording it. It's not going out live because no one would watch it, but it's been recorded. You can find it at the People Speak website. So just Google the People Speak. I think we're the first thing that comes up.
It will be archived.
Yeah. We're literally archiving it on archive.org. That is.
So I'm going to quickly run away. I might be back, but I have fears of karaoke over there. It's the karaoke.
Bowie Prince karaoke. I feel a lot of people who came here this weekend came here for that.
Bowie. Is it Prince stroke Bowie?
Yeah. So it alternates between a Bowie song and a Prince song. Yeah, I did it at Secret Garden Party the other week, and I hated it because I hate karaoke. But the music was amazing. So the reason I was asking about prefects and things is because you don't really get to vote for them, do you? And does that annoy you that you don't get to choose your prefects?
Yeah, it quite annoys me. I think. Well, at my old school, we did get to vote. They weren't really the prefects; they were called school council. And then, if you had any problems, you would, with the school, then you went to them. They were not exactly prefects, but they weren't. They kind of they had a meeting every weekend. No, not weekend. I don't know when they had a meeting, but they had a meeting, and then they would like talk about what to do in the school and how to improve it and why people aren't happy with it. But on that note, because the school used to be it's a nursery, first a nursery school and then a junior school. They came together, and then the head teacher couldn't be bothered to travel between the sites, so he just built a new school. But
that sounds a lot like the kind of thing politicians would do, just cutting corners for their own advantage.
Yeah.
So
but
you are already political. When we asked earlier, like if you're annoyed that you can't vote, you're kind of you are political already.
Okay.
But do you feel you should be allowed to vote?
Yeah, because
well, like, how old are you?
11.
So you know the voting age is 18. In this country.
18.
Like, why do you think that is? What's
I don't know. I don't see the point really. That's.
But you think that people as young as like how at what age?
As long as they as old as they can, young as they can understand. That's all right. So if they can understand what age they are.
What about Philip? What do you reckon? How old do you reckon people should be to be able to vote?
As soon as you're born.
As soon as you're born?
Yeah.
Okay, that's an interesting idea. Let's roll with it.
If you talk about things in terms of understanding,
sure.
How much of politics does the average adult understand?
Just have to look at Brexit.
Yeah. The historic argument about not allowing those who are legally considered to be children to vote was always that they would be influenced by their parents. But the majority of people who do vote are influenced by multi-millionaires and media moguls and newspapers that print lies and exaggerations and smears and stuff like that.
So different people are influenced by different factors.
Yeah.
I wonder about these four who are having a little conversation here. Why don't you come have the conversation at the table? Guys, come have the conversation at the table instead of there.
It's a complete departure from what you're talking about.
Well, that's fine, because we can talk about anything, but it's difficult to have two conversations at once. But come and have it up here. Just come and influence, and we'll.
Just for a moment. We will come back to you. Definitely. Yeah.
All right. It's more a noise clash thing than. Well, we could do that. We could bring Talkaoke outside of the table, and I could sit on the ground, cross-legged, and
like a hippie.
Yeah. hence the t-shirt. Oh no, I don't want you to go. I want you to join this.
We're interrupting. Sorry. Remember, there's either assholes or you're empaths. Empaths or assholes.
Cool. Either way, cheers, guys. But we are talking about voting age. Out of curiosity, just before you go, show of hands. Like, should children be able to vote?
And they should be able to drive as well.
Don't know if I agree with you on that one, but interesting.
I think if you can reach the pedals, you can learn.
Yeah, no, that does make sense. But
you can still learn.
Most 9-year-olds have just about as good judgment and well informed as many 50-year-olds.
That's what these guys are saying here. Oh, it's good. We've got some more youth at the table. We can ask them as well. Yeah, you are already drawn in. This is kind of my trick. This is what I do. Yeah. But don't you want to know more now? What are other people going to think? What are these guys going to think?
You could do 10 minutes.
Questions?
You could sit down for 10 minutes.
Yeah, give it 10 minutes.
You could sit down for 10 minutes.
Come and have 10 minutes. Cheers, Mel. We got it. Okay, get drinks and then come back for 10 minutes.
You can't function without drinks.
Yeah.
That's the same.
Just to. My name is Rowan.
Children are free of that.
Yes. There we go. Yeah. So Will's going to stay at the table. So we've got some new faces to the table. Let's get some names, and then we'll ask you a poignant question. What's your name?
Harriet.
Harriet.
Lauren.
Cool. Welcome. This is Melvin. This is Thomas. This is Philip, and my name is Rowan. So this is Talkaoke. This is a pop-up talk show where we can talk about anything, and we're talking appropriately enough about should you guys be allowed to vote. Because currently the law says you can't vote, I can vote, but in my head I'm young enough that I shouldn't be able to vote, but they let me anyway. But Philip is saying, and I think Thomas is agreeing, that basically you should, if you can vote, you should be able to vote. So like if you're old enough to like read the thing and mark an X or whatever, you should be able to do it. I mean, what do you reckon? Do you think you should be allowed to vote?
Yeah.
Why?
Because
because we could like vote for child prime ministers and stuff.
Ooh, oh, okay, now that's interesting. I hadn't even thought of that one. So it's not just about the voting, but it's about who you're voting for. Of course it is. So we might vote for younger and younger politicians as time goes on until eventually we get actually it's a good point. They used to be grey, now they're less grey, unless we get Corbyn, but then that's the but okay, no, that's an interesting point. I mean, what about then, should we have a younger prime minister? I mean, how young is too young to be prime minister?
I think probably over 5s.
All right, over 5s. What do people think about this? Is 5 too young for prime minister?
I think over 7.
You think 7? What's the difference between 5 and 7? I mean, it's 2, but like, I mean, not mathematically. What's the actual difference, psychological difference between 5 and 7? Now that's what's in between. What I mean is, like, you say that a 5-year-old could be a prime minister, and a 7-year-old could be a prime minister, but not a 5-year-old. So there's a difference here. Melvin, what's your?
In other times, in other cultures, they often had they weren't democracies, and so people didn't vote. But they often had, like in China, they had an emperor that was 5, and they had in Egypt and stuff. In the past, they had kings and people that were like really young.
They were like King Tutankhamun was king when he was born. Like as soon as he was born, he was king.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, I think 7 is a more suitable age because like from 5 to 6 to from 2 to 6, it's quite like my cousin is 6 and he's out of control and I can't imagine him as president. If he was, then that would be really crazy.
You sound like Trump. Yeah. Well, I think this is probably what's to feel like there's some worry maybe about having people who are a bit too young as being prime minister. Because
no, I have no worry. I have a worry about anyone being prime minister in a way, regardless of age.
Why don't you think nobody should be prime minister?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we should all be in charge of our own lives, essentially. And voting is not necessarily the best way of controlling things.
So there's an idea that we can organise ourselves, and a lot of people agree with this. I think I'm definitely one of them. But can we? Like, do you feel like if there was no like power, there was no police, there were no prefects in school or whatever it is, teachers would be what would happen? What would happen to teachers? What would happen to?
I don't really know.
Do you think we can work things out ourselves? We don't need politicians and teachers?
I think it would be better if somebody was in charge.
Do you think there needs to be someone in charge? You're unsure. You're definitely no leaders. What does Melvin think?
I would say people are more used to people being in charge, but the way the society's been made, people have been groomed from like ever, sort of like even when you're little, it's like your parents are in charge, and when you're in school, there's sort of like, so people have been groomed very intensely. And I wanted to say something about what you said ages ago about the media and stuff and how that grooms and influences people. So I really don't know, because when you were saying about a prime minister, sort of like the idea is that somebody that's young, there's all of these ideas, but I don't know if they're based on anything other than that's not how it's done, that's how it was done in the past. I don't know how influenced my whole perception is, because people have not done that in the past, and the assumption that the past is the same as now.
And Thomas?
I think we should have someone in control.
But
like,
who should that someone be?
I don't know, but...
Are you going to put yourself forward here?
I could, but...
Would you guys vote for Thomas?
I'd rather...
No.
I'd rather have someone like... a really bad prime minister than not one at all, because then everything will go crazy.
In what way? What do you reckon?
I don't know, but as an example, I'll say in year 3 we had a really terrible teacher, and she didn't care what we did, and that was the bad thing, because we just did everything, and then she would say, do it. And then everyone would go no, and then you just don't get anything done. And
so it was a lack of motivation. It was that you didn't. It was that you didn't make things happen because you weren't organising yourselves.
Yeah, I think
I can't remember who was talking about the Labour Party. I think that person might have left.
Yeah, that was Will. Who I don't know if they'll come back. They might have just tried to placate me there.
But when you were saying about people not caring, because I think a lot of the time, with people in the political class, that I think they care about being politicians and their handbags, but they don't actually care about anything else. Their interest, they don't care about lots of things, it's not going to affect them. Like lots of things with money and wealth and stuff, it's not going to affect them, so they don't care. It's like.
Yeah, so the different people might care for different reasons. Some might not care at all. Well, where should we take this conversation? I'm kind of. I want to follow this idea on of like voting for somebody young. Like, what would the world look like where we had a 5 or a 7-year-old prime minister? What would be different? Like, what would they actually make happen that doesn't already happen, or what would they change? So,
well, they could, if it would change, like that they would want to do what they want, and then other people don't. Yeah, I don't think they should have a 5-year-old prime minister.
But a 7-year-old one was all right. So what would the 7-year-old want that would be different? What would be good or bad or different?
I don't know.
Well, what's wrong at the moment that you'd want to fix? And would a 7-year-old fix that? Think about it for a sec. Let's hear it from Mel.
I was just curious what all of you would say if you had the power of a prime minister or whoever. What would you do? How would you remake the world?
Oh yeah, that's quite a nice one. What would you do if you could change one thing about the world?
I'll make all the houses bouncy castles.
There we go. And I think you've just answered the question as to why a 5-year-old can't be voted prime minister. Lovely idea, but
okay, the impact of bouncy castles, low impact houses that have an effect, well, don't impact so badly on other life forms and sort of like forests and stuff, getting rid of roads, getting rid of cities, sort of like humans in communities that could move. Sounds good to me.
Well, just pass over to. Sorry, I'm just sorting out my mic. Sorry. In favour of. Good. I want to hear more about this.
Well, for a start, bouncy castle houses would float. So when global warming causes flooding all the time, our houses will float. They'd be much easier to build. We could have more housing. They'd be waterproof again, but also it's such incredible exercise. When they had a bouncy castle on the South Bank, I went on it, and in 3 minutes I was completely exhausted. Now imagine if that was every day in your house. Imagine how much exercise you would get. You'd lose weight, you'd be healthier, you know. Yeah.
So let me just say hello to our new faces around here and bring you up to speed. Welcome to Talkaoke. This is a free-form talk show where we can talk about anything. Today we've talked about such things as gender identity, about language, we've talked about poetry and love, and right now we're talking about politics. And we're talking with these young people especially about how young prime ministers should be.
No, you're talking about prime ministers and you're talking about rules, but rules are there to be broken, so break that one.
Well, there we go. Well, we don't have to. We can talk about anything we like. The conversation can go anywhere. It's all good. So can we get a quick round of names just so I can pick up everyone's name and how to address
Philip.
people? We've got Philip.
Stephen.
Kate. Right. So Philip, Stephen, Kate. We got Thomas. Dixie.
Melvin.
Lauren.
Harriet. And my name is Rowan. So we amongst other things we're talking about what was it? So Lauren's idea. If Lauren was prime minister, then we'd all end up with bouncy castle houses, which Philip thinks is a good idea because everyone would be very well exercised. So it's a good workout and so on. So it would probably change society quite a lot.
But having bouncy castle houses every day, the reason it's bad for me, I remember when we had a school fete and they had 3 bouncy castle things and you could pay £3 just to be on it for unlimited time until the fete was over. So that was quite cool. But except after I had finished on it, the next day I really couldn't walk. I just couldn't walk. So I think that's bad because you can't walk.
But then like what Philip was saying is it's every day, you just get used to it. It's just like any other form of like walking or any other type of exercise maybe. Right, let's see what Stephen's got an idea.
Are Americans allowed to live in the bouncy castles?
What do you reckon? Prime Minister Lauren, are Americans allowed to live in these bouncy castles? Do you want to hold the mic and make a speech like on television?
I think we'd have to speak with the Americans' new prime minister.
Well, they've got a president, but so you're talking with the American president.
Does it swear?
Oh, good point. who is the American President, and you're negotiating with them about their use of our bouncy castles. Speaking to the mic, here we go.
It would be cool if all the world had bouncy castle houses.
There we go. We've just solved world peace right there. Dixie head.
I love the idea of bouncy castles, but I'm going to put a damper and do health and safety. Because recently I have stories about bouncy castles that just take off in the wind and people die.
I was about to, until you said that, I was about to say, that sounds great!
Yeah, no. Recently in the newspaper about 2 weeks ago, there was a floaty bouncy castle blew away in the wind. So, not a problem, as long as you approach it from a safety angle. And I'd like to say, it's like, how would you make flying bouncy castles safe? Because it'd be a brilliant idea.
Well, yeah, how are we going to make these safe?
Well, to make them safe, you just need like a big cord which would keep them intact in the ground, and
so just like we're pegging our tents into the ground.
Yeah,
peg the bouncy castles.
And also just have a parachute in case that snaps or something.
There we go. That's two pragmatic solutions.
But then I was also going to say,
Lauren, is Thomas going to be like your science advisor here? We're assuming you've just kind of like by default won the Prime Minister race here because you suggested it.
But I was also wanted to say, because like to make where I live, there's a little village down the road called Blowfield, and they're making 80,000 more houses there, and that's quite a lot. So if that was bouncy castles, then you would run out of oil to make the plastic instantly, and then we would have no houses. And also the little vacuum thingies which pump them up. The electricity used to make all of that, plus you're charging your phone, hair drying, everything like that, it's just not good.
Prime Minister, you haven't thought out the issue fully, and our science advisor has just come back with this very important point. What's Melvin's take on this?
I would say that
incidentally, Cultural Secretary?
When you talk about bouncy councils, then I would say
bouncy castles.
Bouncy castles. Bouncy castles, then I would say that you probably start with the ones that we've got now, because people don't have to live in the ones that they've got now. I know they've got new tents that have got inflatable poles and stuff that hold them up together and stuff. Sort of like, so if energy was put into that technology, and then like in the past they had zeppelins that float because they were full of hydrogen, so bouncy castles that floated in the air, sort of like, and then also when you were saying about the oil, there's sort of like lots of plasticky type things that are environmentally friendly that you can get from sort of like plants and stuff.
Yeah.
Those polymers and stuff, so you might be able to get environmental houses that float all over the world.
So maybe Melvin should be the science advisor. And Harriet, what's your thought on the bouncy castle houses?
If you have a bouncy castle house, then how are you going to get electricity?
Solar panels.
Solar panels. There we go. Solar and wind bouncy castle houses.
If it's floating.
So, Mikey, welcome back to the conversation. So we've gone to interesting places. We got onto the topic of politics because a guy named Will, who sat down here for about 2 minutes, said, "Let's talk about the Labour Party," and then ran off. And so we talked politics for a little bit, and we were asking about why our younger members of the Talkaoke table aren't allowed to vote. Isn't it frustrating? So we postulated that a 5 or 7-year-old should be allowed to be Prime Minister. And then I can't remember exactly how it happened, but then Lauren here won the Prime Minister seat and declared instantly that every house should be a bouncy castle, and now we're teasing out the reasons why that should and should not be the case. We've had it should be because it would be good exercise. Yeah. It shouldn't be because they fly away and people die. But then there's also solar panels we can have, and we can tether it to the ground. And well, that's where we are so far. So let me just come to Kate, and then I'll
Can I just say that Melvin.
Yep.
Yeah, I hear that. But bouncy castles. Did I hear that right? Of castles, the councils that control the castles, right? Because they're more floaty and they control the energy, and we need a little bit of order and everything in its place, but not at the same time. Thank you. I'll finish now.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I didn't know what I was talking about.
Okay, well, let me just pass it over to Mikey. Who's
But what about if you've got like a cactus or something like that, or a pin cushion?
Yeah. Again, Lauren, we've got a technical issue here.
Well, but, I've got a cactus in my, and if that
or a pet
if
hedgehog.
that deflated the bouncy castle, it would be a massive letdown, wouldn't it?
Literally. So wait, but what was Thomas just saying? So,
I said don't get a cactus.
but that sounds a bit like control.
I would say if you had a technology that was actually based on buildings based on inflatable things that could move about and float
Final
about.
thoughts from Lauren and Harriet. Let's just get some final thoughts from our escaping Prime Minister. Our Prime Minister, in true character, is jumping ship. What's
If we did eventually run out of electricity,
Yep.
we could just stop using it, apart from powering the bouncy castles, because people have done without electricity.
Yeah, but the electricity is used to pump up the bouncy castles.
Yeah, we could just use it to pump out the bouncy castles.
Well, okay. Interesting. Yeah, how do you get a cup of tea? Well, I guess you do fire.
We don't need tea.
You go solar. You just go solar.
See or win.
All right, thank you very much, Lauren and Harriet. Sorry, who was saying something? Melvin was about to respond to Kate. We weren't quite entirely sure what Kate was saying. Something about
bouncy councils.
bouncy, but yeah, bouncy.
There are bouncy councils and bouncy castles, and all bouncy castles are equal, but some are equal to us, and are all bouncy castles equal? But they're too superior because they're more superior than bouncy castles.
But
they try so hard to think like bouncy castles.
Bouncy
Is that it?
castles. Is that how we're making this hierarchy?
Because I would say it would be bouncy castle. Well, bouncy castles are bouncy, whatever. How big they were, and how movable they were. Then I don't know what that would do to a world if there was houses that could move about, and nations where you wouldn't actually be trapped.
Can I pitch this to Philip? Because as someone who believes in sort of self-organisation, if domiciles were mobile, how would that impact on society? Can we just get some final thoughts before it looks like you guys are about to
I've just seen my friend.
Okay. Yeah. If mobiles were domiciles were truly mobile, how might that? I'll come to Dixie in a second.
Well, a lot of power structures would break down because a lot of power structures are based in people remaining in a stationary place and those in power knowing where they are and therefore being able to control them. But that's and it's not a natural state to be in. Naturally, we are much more nomadic than we are now.
Okay, so yeah, would it be like a return to form a little bit or something? Like Dixie.
No, I'm really interested in this because recently I've been YouTubing, but I have, and I've been looking at mobile caravans that you attach to bicycles.
A caravan?
It's like a little caravan, and basically it's a tiny caravan that you can attach to your back of your bicycle.
Right.
You can put a solar panel or a battery in it, so that's your little house, and you can move it around. And I'm completely fascinated by it. There's a little guy in America that's made up a little plan, and his whole sole thing is like everyone can build one for a homeless person and whatever, and it's absolutely brilliant.
It sounds minuscule. How do you sleep in it? How do you shower?
It's like a little cart that you go at the back of your caravan.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you shower? It's like, how do you wash when you're camping? I have wet ones.
But then that's for a very finite period.
Yeah. But it's like, if I could have a little bicycle that I had that is my power, you could use that as battery energy to charge your battery. You could have a solar panel at the top and have a little mobile unit that you could sleep in. Then you could actually be mobile and livable and travel around. And I think it's a fascinating concept.
Margot, what are your thoughts? You look absolutely bemused.
I'm trying to catch up, but I really like
sorry,
this
yeah. Quick catch up. So, a while ago, a guy called Will sat down at the table and said, "Let's talk about politics," and then disappeared. So we were starting to talk about politics. We were talking about the Labour Party and people's right to vote, and why is it that young people aren't allowed to vote? Because we've got some young people around the table. Along the line, the question was asked, well, what would you do if you were Prime Minister? And Lauren, who suddenly became our Prime Minister, said every house has to be a bouncy castle. And we've been kind of rolling with that, and we just talked about the different ideas, and loosely we kind of came up with the problem of like what happens when the power runs out, and so Dixie suggested, well, there's these amazing sort of...
no, it was Cheval's talking about mobility.
Yeah, that's it. So along from that idea, we're talking about the mobile bouncy castle council house, and then if you can go everywhere, does that break down power structures, and then that's where Dixie suggested these mobile homes that attached to your bicycle. So
I was very fascinated by what you were saying until you said, oh, they can build a house for a homeless person, for instance. I was kind of going, like, in my mind, I was like, oh, excellent, wouldn't that be great if people lived in something like this? And that kind of makes you think, okay, so if I'm just using my home as somewhere I'm sleeping and just like getting my basic needs satisfied by, showering, getting solar panels, then I think the public space would have to change dramatically for people to spend time together somehow.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Because I would say...
you wouldn't have that in that little caravan, so that's it.
Okay, because I would say sort of like the conversation now, I would summarise talking about what the world would be like if it was a mobile world, where sort of like, and I think one of the major advantages of being stationary at present is sanitation and toilets. So you get these compost toilets, little compost toilets and stuff, similar to that you can get those and sort of like, but like, if people could move, if people aren't stuck in a place, if you had homes that were purpose-built and mobile and stuff, that had mod cons, even self-powering, solar powers and stuff, I don't know what that does to the world. Where you had people that if you had, I don't know, it's big as a tent, but with all of your mod cons, your nice little bed and your cooker and your toilet, and I don't know what that does to the world.
If we all just become campers permanently.
What about bears?
In this country we're pretty alright, I think.
I feel like we're going to have bouncy castles all over the world, and they're bears.
That is a good question.
Inflatable floating that you can put up that float 20 foot off of the ground, full of hydrogen. That you can go, oh, there's a bear.
Hydrogen again, there's a health and safety issue.
Right, what's not hydrogen? Helium.
There we go.
I heard there's a whole range of really cuddly bears called Charlie bears. Sorry, gummy bears.
Gummy bears.
That's very sticky. I was gonna say, like, if you with the, like, I was saying, like, you probably wouldn't be able to make as many houses for everyone without plastic, but also to fill them all with helium. Apparently helium is now a rare source and it's really hard to get, and
So
like we should
before we run out of electricity, we're going to run out of helium.
Yeah, probably, because we really should. Apparently it's like really bad to use it in balloons now because it's getting so rare. There's only a certain amount of helium in the world, and we just let it escape into the atmosphere and go with the balloons.
I mean, that feels like, it feels almost trivial, but it's also a bit worrying.
I would argue that you'd be able to find some type of technological solution to it. You could probably use, in the past when they used hydrogen, it was really inflammable and really dangerous, but now, with a bit of thought, it could be done in a way that was quite safe, and there's hydrogen's notable and stuff. I think with the modern technologies and stuff, that if we wanted to, we could actually work out, well, if we wanted to, we could, world hunger, poof, gone, all sorts of, if we wanted to, the world could be
squirrel powered.
Could be squirrel powered.
Hamster powered, like, gets hamsters on the wheels.
Panda bear
Could be.
powered.
Panda bear.
Pink panda bear.
What animal would be best to use?
Bicycles! Power generators on bicycles!
Yeah, I like bicycles.
Solar panels on every roof. The world, if the world wanted to, the world could be.
Does the world not want that? Do you guys want solar panels on your roof?
I want ketchup.
You want ketchup?
Ketchup powered world.
I mean, that was. I'll be honest. I like being surprised, and that was not what I was expecting to hear.
I think everything should be made out of ketchup.
Well, that's slightly more abstract than bouncy castle house.
It can be freeze ketchup. Yeah.
Freeze dried.
And then for balloons, they can be filled with ketchup.
But I'm thinking, like, maybe there's something in it, because you said dried ketchup, and that made me think of, has anybody had hummus chips?
No.
Okay, right, they're like really trendy now. They're trending in London. They're basically like... Well, so I thought that they are made to be dipped in hummus, but actually they are made of hummus. So I'm just thinking, maybe, yeah, basically chickpeas, right?
And they freeze dried.
Something like that. It's really tasty. They've got some artificial flavouring over the top of it. That's very tasty. So I'm thinking perhaps there are ways of kind of utilising like the resources that we've got, but kind of just maybe deep fry bits of ketchup, and maybe that's like a kind of alternative food or something.
Because we had a point earlier about we'd run out of plastic to make the bouncy castles, and I think Melvin said, should we get a final thought? Melvin said that we could use bio.
I won't actually a bit escape since it's dead bad. Yes, I like mobile technology. I'm very interested in Benobel's idea. The whole idea about stationary means that you're more controlled, and mobility means that you're less controlled, and I really like that topic. So I would go there. I might be back in a minute. I'm going to see you.
Alright, go have a sing. Did you just have your hand up, or did you have your hand up? No? Okay. Thomas had his hand up.
I was going to just ask, how long have we been running this? Because I was here from when it started, and how many hours? And how many hours there?
I don't know what time we got for it.
And the second thing is I...
Okay, well, yeah, we'll come back shortly.
Quite well anyway.
Yeah, you really want to get fit.
Come back for a second.
He's kept going.
He will be back.
Well, let's hear from Lauren, and then let's hear from
Talking about ketchup, I think we should officially classify ketchup as a drink.
Wow, that's good. I mean, that's different again.
But I think there's something new, like in terms of like Bloody Mary, for instance, we were talking about it earlier, like whether Bloody Mary is classed as a smoothie or not. I mean, it is healthy. It's made of vegetables and fruit.
Well, I mean, ketchup kind of makes sense because, like, tomato is a fruit, not a vegetable, right? So surely it's a smoothie. Ketchup.
No, it's a vegetable.
It's a vegetable.
No, it's not.
I just wanted to say that I loved. I just wanted to say I loved what you said about ketchup and stuff, but the idea of using biological technology for building and construction, that would be sustainable, and I don't know, and then sort of like, I don't know, with that big huge houses, I don't know,
or some bio thing.
What space that would free up, and sort of like the things that you'd be able to grow and stuff, and how different the world would look, like how different the world could look with that. They're like floaty, bouncy castles type houses.
Harriet, what was you got a point to make?
How would you go?
I've got burning redneck and stuff.
How if you were floating?
I'm not a redneck. I'm a person with sunburned neck, which is red. You have rednecks and we have silk.
Yeah, so like every floating house would have a ladder.
As long as you've got Wi-Fi, I know it's downloading. Vegetable. I was going to say that the major fault with living mobile is. Maybe it's not a problem actually, because I was going to say people are just too attached to the things they possess and they are scared that somebody's going to rob them of them. But maybe if you kind of download all our possessions into something virtual and you just secure it with a password, maybe that's not a problem. And I would like to see a world which is, say this is a living area, it's going to be a massive shelter, so nobody needs like a massively waterproof tent, for instance, or this little shelter thing that you were describing. It would be just like, I don't know, government provided like a big shelter for all little tiny tents. I don't know. As a something.
Those people behind you.
Yeah, let's hear from Lauren first.
I forgot.
Harriet had a point. Also, I don't think I've got your name.
First time a politician ever said that.
JJ. And Harriet.
If you got things from the Wi-Fi, when you have to get a helicopter to fly it up or something.
I was thinking, so Margot, were you saying that you don't actually download the food, you just order it online?
No, I mean download.
But
how
does that physically...
great.
I haven't quite processed that, but maybe it's like a virtual reality thing, something, just kind of, you get a tab, I don't know, I really don't know, I'm no expert, but I'm kind of thinking, in order for this kind of portable way of living to be sustained, I think you can't do that, can you? I don't know. Because I agree with Harriet, like, how would you get your food?
I love the idea of floating farms.
Floating farms?
Floating farms. I don't know. The world, it's a different type of world. Also, you were saying about people attached to their stuff. But if all your stuff was, like, if your computer and your bed and your own personal toilet and stuff was in a space that was yours and that you could move with, like, so you'd come here and it would be like a whole house with all of your wardrobe and all that stuff. So the world, it would be a home that was mobile and you'd have all of your stuff. I don't know what that would. I don't know what.
So you see the way that there's a lot of camper vans up there. It would effectively be like that.
Where did you say you were born?
So let's just see if
Where else I was born.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
You've gone on to floating farms.
No, you went born in Texas and you weren't born in Oklahoma. Not New York, Georgia. Definitely, right, yeah. It's just that.
I think it would just be
It's just like the Washington State.
I think it'd be
It's a
nice.
farmland.
yeah, just be brown going
States.
See, so we'd just be moving the issue up a little bit.
Maybe then it will move
It's
around.
a fair point. It's a very well thought out point, actually. Jojo, what's your,
but why can't everything just be ketchup? Because if everything was ketchup,
it will wash away and look weird, right?
Because of garlic
No.
mayo.
because it will have a ketchup and then
I'm craving something. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's garlic mayo.
ketchup. And then you don't need food, you have ketchup.
If you could live off ketchup, that's mental. Laura?
With the ordering food thing, then you could have flying cars.
They get to your from your flying farms to your flying houses, and then it's But then is it not like Harriet was saying, it just pushes the issue up a bit, just because we're making everything fly?
But then all the things that we wipe out, like all the roads would be gone. There'd be places for forests, there'd be places for fields, there'd be places for all the other landforms and stuff down below.
So basically, we should just leave the planet. Is that kind of what we're saying?
Just go up a level.
Well, yeah, but
Go up a level.
leave the terraformer.
I'm thinking about it in terms of have the houses floating, have all the land previously occupied then turn into farmlands and forests, have the farming process automated and then have the food delivered to through vacuum tubes.
I mean, that sounds doable.
Yeah, I think.
What do we, Prime Minister and science advisors, what do we think about this? Does that one model of the world make sense?
You have to watch out for
It would be a humanity with a really low carbon footprint.
Watch out for them.
Yeah, well, yeah, would it really change that?
Everything was made out. What if you were allergic?
That's a fair point, Jojo. We're like, so, you know, I'm sure ketchup is great, but like, can it do everything and ask it's going to be...
You should be.
Too much red. What about people are allergic to it?
Potatoes.
Oh, well, there we go. So that's a bit more like what Melvin was talking about, like using other bio blocks.
I'm gonna run it.
Are we off to Bowie and Prince?
Yeah, I'm off to Bowie.
Alright, do you want final thoughts?
Love the idea of a light, mobile, human civilization, but I don't know, that would change. We've got the technology, it would change everything. Love the idea.
Thank you very much. Brilliant. Okay, well, where should we take this conversation? Philip, it looks like you're about to interview as well. So, where should we take this conversation? We can run around the idea of floating houses, and we can kind of go somewhere a little bit different.
I just want to say, like, it's quite funny how we've kind of been talking, and then from the beginning, like Thomas has been here from the beginning, and you were here at the beginning, and then you went away, and I just kind of wondered, because it's like, to me, like, I do see the breadth of this festival, what people have been doing today in this kind of mobile universe that we've got here, what's going on out there in the universe right now. So my question, people who are out there.
I think she's more the festival, but yeah. Philip, it looks like you're about to sort of like disappear. So maybe tell us about what you've been up to outside of this experience.
I was attempting and unable due to lack of soldering skills to make an atomic punk console. I took a lot of photos and now I'm going to Disco Vendetta. I still think of it as trying to get my face painted.
Ah, cool. Good luck with that. Come back and show us the results. We still had our face.
Human face or rabbit face?
No, it'll be something like crystallised locust, kryptonite dislocated teeth.
Crystallised locust or kryptonite dislocated teeth?
Those are two sort of possible
You have to spin, don't you? You have to spin the thing.
Oh, right, okay, so it's like fridge magnet poetry. Okay, so you have
Causality is not chronology, and just because we've had these discussions doesn't mean to say that something logically will follow from it, and you've got your escape for it. Something happens out of the blue sometimes.
Well, that's kind of the point about talking. We talk about
magically.
anything. We can't go anywhere.
Yeah, and where there's a will, there's a way, and where there isn't a will, there's a way in the will. Thank you, goodbye. I want to eat my din-dins.
From this, I assume that you guys are escaping. Stephen, have you got a final thought on any issues we're talking about, or something completely different?
This is a massive archaeological site.
Is that right?
Really?
I mean, we did come across, like, when we were trying to put the shelter up, there was quite a lot of pebbles underneath. It's a genuine question, I mean, because I don't know much about Oxfordshire, but I think, you know, I think in big cities everything's already been dug up. Every so often they'll find some skeletons underneath whatever old building. But here it's like, do people know what's underneath kind of thing?
So there's a lot of worked flint, so not just flint that's occurring naturally, but yeah.
So people kind of sharpened the
Flints,
flint.
like arrowheads or something like that?
This kind of thing. I haven't seen any of these, but the things that you have to do to flint, to knock pieces off in order to make the trash,
Like
the
the
debitage.
Okay, so hand axes. Tell us.
According to my uncle, when we were camping, I said, "Oh, it's really hard to get the pegs in." He said that it was because this whole place was a shopping site.
Shopping site, maybe from like hundreds of years ago.
Or from very recently, as in
I was told it was all flint outcropping. That's why it's so hard to get the tent pegs in. And you're right, it's the hardest place to get the tent pegs in of any place I've ever camped.
That's right. Okay, well, I mean that's interesting. Thank you for that. That would certainly not be compatible with our bouncy castle model of the world.
Probably wouldn't have survived it.
Bouncy castles with archaeologists have worked. It's terrible. They wouldn't have to investigate anything. That's horrible.
Lauren, so where are we going to take this then? So we've had bouncy castles to sort of like a Neolithic human beings.
No, I don't have dinner rights anymore. My dinner rights have been taken from me.
Well, people could go down to the ground and the
bouncy castles.
Volunteer HQ. So they could, like, the archaeologists could investigate.
Investigate.
I'm sure it's called not investigate.
I love how you just brushed your hair, sorry.
I'll have to ask my mum.
I love how you brushed your hair just to make the cats.
But they could do it without. There wouldn't be anyone in the way.
Except one.
That makes sense.
Only with you die.
Underground is a block. It's all ketchup. But people have actually got ketchup underground and replaced it by food.
She likes ketchup.
So
there's a lot of ketchup here, but what about for someone who's less fussed about ketchup?
I'm not really that much into ketchup, I'm more of a mayo person, but I am really fascinated by the fact that what your uncle said, like this being like a massive shopping mall or whatever. I kind of wonder what that looked like back in the day. Because I feel now, I mean, if like, you know, let's fast forward 200 years, for instance, what would people find, like digging what would, you know, and finding what would be remnants of our lifestyle? What would they find? So if we live in a downloaded reality, for instance, like what would people, I mean, I don't know, what would people find if they...
Well, so, Harry, you've had your hand up in a while. What do you think? What will archaeologists of the future find from our time?
when you mean everything like's made out of ketchup, do you mean like a country or the whole planet?
we can talk more about ketchup if you want to, or we can carry on this idea of what kind of like Margot and I don't know what Thomas was about to add about what future archaeologists might find. Well, okay, this conversation's gone in strange places. So a gentleman came down to the table and just said, "Oh, well, let's talk about politics," and then disappeared. So we started talking about politics, and we were asking the young people around the table if they thought it was fair that they weren't allowed to vote. And we decided that it is unfair that they weren't allowed to vote, and so we voted for Lauren to be Prime Minister.
Oh, brilliant.
And Lauren got to make one decision, and that was that all houses were to become bouncy castles. Okay. And we kind of rolled with that and what that might entail, and actually produced quite an interesting looking world out of it, where everyone is floating around in dirigibles and the Earth was left to just be. And one ramification of that is that archaeologists would be able to just do their job quite easily because there's no people in the way, there's no buildings, there's no roads and things, so they can just dig stuff up. And that got us on to talking about, well, so what are future archaeologists going to find about us? Because we'll float up there, but we'll kind of like leave a lot of stuff around, and it will just go to whatever.
I mean, they'll obviously come across the ruins of all our dreams. That'll be the first thing.
That's quite profound.
Yeah. Thank you.
What would that actually look like? So I'll come to you guys in a sec.
Right. Have you ever read the BFG?
Have you guys read the BFG?
Yeah.
I don't think.
There's a film out now.
I've watched
the movie. I've watched the new movie. It's really good. I've watched 3 different movies and read the book.
3? Well.
I was just going to say in the BFG, how do the dreams manifest themselves? As sort of as clouds, isn't it, or something that he pipes
for those who are unfamiliar with BFG, what do the dreams look like? What's the?
Well, in the film, then they're basically little round. They look a bit like fireflies.
Okay.
And they're all multicoloured, depending how good the dream is.
They look more like a wispy, like a ghost jelly. It's like more of a jellyfish rather than a firefly. Because fireflies is a ball shape, but they're all floating around and jelly and.
So what your future archaeologist is likely to find our dreams preserved in amber, like in like your mosquito in Jurassic Park. I don't want to bring us back to dinosaurs again. We've covered that, but yeah, I should imagine that's what they'll find.
Okay. So our dreams are these little firefly type things encapsulated in resin, amber.
If they went below the dreams, then they would find ketchup.
Oh, we're back to the ketchup. And Margot, what's your thought on
I was just
the
kind
ketchup?
of on a serious note, because you guys started talking about dreams, and I genuinely have a genuine question to people. What do you guys dream of? Like, what would be your what is the dream apart from ketchup, kind of thing? But like, okay, fair enough. But
I feel it's an achievement.
No, but I genuinely think that. Yeah. Maybe a bit of both, because I feel like dreams they are reflections on
let's
our thoughts.
put this to the table then. So what do people dream about for the future? Is that kind of loosely
what are your dreams right now at this moment?
What are your dreams right now at this moment?
Well, like dreams in your sleep.
Well, I think let's.
Oh.
Yeah, ideas. What was the word you used? Hope. Yeah.
Well, my number one hope is that ketchup is officially classified as a drink.
that would be a slightly different world. We kind of know yours already.
What would the advantage of classifying it as a drink actually? What that give it? What would the struggle actually be to get it classified as a drink?
Yeah. So what happens? So boom, we've done it. It's now officially a drink. Then what?
We drink ketchup.
We drink ketchup. Well, you can drink. Yeah, you can drink ketchup anyway. You don't need to call it a drink.
Yeah, but you could have like bottles of drinking ketchup, not in like bottles you put on your chips, like almost water bottles of ketchup.
But you can.
Yeah, you can.
What about something like a nice gazpacho? Isn't that like a bit like a ketchup drink? Have you ever had gazpacho soup?
But I think
it's like a cold pureed tomato soup with basil. It's garlic, basil, tomato and cucumber pureed and put in the fridge. It's really delicious. Plus olive oil and vinegar.
Okay,
it's got a lot of similar ingredients
Okay,
to
well
ketchup.
let's take out the cucumber. But then would you? If it sounds like this is basically a ketchup drink that already exists, so why not just drink that instead of like instead of becoming prime minister just to change the law?
It's more flavour.
Yeah, exactly. It's more flavour.
And also, I wanted to add,
Yeah.
what's the point of making it classified as a drink?
Yeah. Like, people can do what they like, can't they, with whatever they eat? You can have it for breakfast if you want, or you can have it for dinner. It doesn't really matter. I was wondering if you guys have ever heard of a drink called Bovril. Well, that is going to blow your mind. If you like ketchup drinking, I think you should try Bovril drinking.
Can I just suggest to the at least the of age participants here, Bovril cocktails. Bovril vodka, bit of hot sauce, hot water. Perfect. It's like apparently Hemingway called them the Polish bison. And it's the perfect hangover restorer.
Can we just ask the younger people around the table? Have you heard of Bovril? Do you know what it is? Have you seen it on supermarket shelves?
No.
Is that
Is it like that stuffed Marmite?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, who wants to describe Bovril? Because if I'm honest, I vaguely know what it is, and
It's like a pulverised bison with salt.
a pulverised bison with salt.
What's it bison? In cubes.
What on earth is bison? Is like cows. What on earth is pulverised meat?
Well, yeah. Let's elaborate more here.
Good point. You know how you dry up a bison so it's like all crumbly, right? Bison is like you know it, right? So it's like a cow, right? And it lives in a wild. And sometimes it has horns. It's like quite strong and kind of like a buffalo, exactly. So if you leave it there, kind of to dry up as opposed to decompose when it dies, like if you kind of keep it in dry conditions and it dries, then you can just like mince into like a powder. It's like you could kind of break it down to powder, and then if you kind of make it into a cube, and you add salt, that's what Bovril is in my opinion.
Bovril's like a. Bovril's like a salty, meaty tea.
Yeah, I think they call it beef tea, don't they?
You add
beef
hot water
tea.
to it and it's a lovely
Would you as a ketchup drinker like beef tea?
No.
Why not? It's kind of funny, like when you were talking about Bovril drinks, it's like I've got a problem with drinking vegetable juice. Do you know what I mean? It's like vegetable juice. Yeah, or something. It's like it tastes savoury. Carrot's actually okay,
yeah.
but like because that's fine. But like if you have tomato, celery, this and the other, that's no longer a juice somehow. It just tastes like gazpacho or something. I don't know.
Harriet.
What's made out of Bovril really?
Well, what's made out of it? Well, I think it's just a thing you drink, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or you can put it in. You could put it into like spaghetti bolognese or something to make it taste more beefy. So you could like use it like a seasoning, maybe.
My granddad always used to take a flask of hot Bovril to football matches for half time, knock back the yeah.
That does sound very traditional.
I was just kind of wondering what other different foods that people used to eat or kind of eat which are a little bit controversial, because I think that, pardon me, that Bovril drink is one of those controversial ones. The other one I'd say is probably, no, but like as a drink, as an alcoholic
maybe,
cocktail.
not controversial,
I think that's slightly controversial, but it's like, I don't know, haggis or something. That's slightly controversial, maybe less so. Yeah? Yum. Someone said yum.
When you say controversial, yeah.
There is vegetarian haggis. That might assuage your fears, and it is delicious.
What's it made of then?
It's
Yeah, what's in it?
I've tried it. It's like loads of bits of nuts, like really ground up nuts, and lots of things like. It's basically like vegetarian stuffing. If you've had that, it just
Scottish nut roast.
Scottish nut roast. That's
absolutely gorgeous. Wasn't done in the proper, sort of haggis shape, unfortunately. But
yeah, we've got a few spare chairs. Come and join the conversation. We're talking about obscure foods that people eat, amongst other things. So talking about Bovril as one of them. Ketchup. These guys are obsessed with ketchup. They want to drink ketchup. They want that to be their thing.
Would that come after ketchup? Because
what do you mean after
that's
ketchup?
basically taking ketchup's place, and ketchup is always the best.
Well, I don't know, but some people may disagree here. Like, Thomas, is there anything better than ketchup?
I think there's I don't know what you would call it, but it's where you get a tomato, a really big one. I call them pumpkin tomatoes. They're probably not actually called that, but they're like this. And then you get a knife, and then you kind of cut the stalk off and pull it out, the stalk and the flesh as well. And then you scoop out the inside, and then you put 2 eggs in there, and then you mix breadcrumbs with salt and cheese and pepper and spices and herbs and things, and put that all in the top, which is the space left by in between the eggs and and then you just cook it, and it is delicious.
What is it called?
Does that
I don't know.
would that assuade you? Would that tempt you more than ketchup?
It is delicious.
No.
It's ketchup. Is it?
Okay, people are of the opinion generally that sounds better than ketchup.
Yeah.
But we're so this side of the table seems
Not unanimous.
no. So people still like ketchup, but people are saying there is something superior.
I'd quite like to take this opportunity to disparage ketchup. Actually, I don't like ketchup.
Oh,
I think it's.
What do we have to say? The look on these faces. What do we? Let's come to Mikey, but let's just very quickly. What do you say to that?
What did ketchup do to you?
I know someone that's actually got a fear of ketchup.
Oh.
Like literal fear of ketchup.
Yikes.
What phobia is that?
I don't know what it's called, ketchuphobia, I don't know. But they've actually got a fear of ketchup. You can't have ketchup on the table if she's around the place.
That's niche. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how you get a fear of ketchup, but it does exist.
One doesn't really want to know, I think. What's that, sorry?
There's loads of people I know that just have a serious fear of all sauces and need them to be on a separate plate on the other side of the table or something, and can't touch anything or any. There's some people that also have a fear of just like the juice of any food and any kind of runny stuff.
Bean juice? Is that your thing? Well, this would be a fun game. What's your thing?
My actual thing is bananas. I used to
really?
not be able to be in the room with
Wow.
them.
Yes. Okay.
Although we've recovered a lot from that. But earlier on in the tent, there was 4 people all eating bananas at the same time, and I found it quite. I just had to be calm.
Oppressive.
Like my heart was beating fast.
Yeah.
Because of it.
Well, has anyone else got an interestingly weird kind of?
Well, I know another guy that's got a fear of tomatoes, but not when they're whole, but it's a slice of tomato. Yeah. That, like the actual slice, the exposed flesh of the tomato.
Wow.
That he cannot deal with. He cannot look at it.
Yeah.
Never mind, never mind, eat it. He can't look at it.
But can he eat tomatoes?
Oh no.
Okay,
no,
right.
No. He can eat ketchup. He can eat ketchup, yeah, but not tomatoes.
Huh. What about anyone else got one of these kind of things to add, like a thing that they just can't tolerate? Let's just hear from Lauren and then.
One of my friends.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I think he doesn't like. He's like afraid of water. He drinks it, but he's just afraid of it.
Wow. Okay. That's a difficult one.
I used to work with a girl who would only ever, the only kind of cold drink that she would ever drink would be a fizzy drink. She claimed, like you said, she hated water. She couldn't face drinking water because she didn't like the flavour of it. That's an interesting one.
Right.
And it was something else that she was doing, but it's like I thought it was like quite astounding. Like she doesn't like the flavour of water.
Why don't you get it fizzy? Because I don't think it tastes the same when you get fizzy water.
Well, yeah. You can do things to it, I suppose.
But then you have to put sugar in it, don't you? Like if you have squash or something, then you're adding something artificial. But I just like something that's so neutral as water to be like hated by someone. I think that's quite strong. We talked about words earlier.
I mean, what hating breathing air, not liking drinking water.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. The taste of air is offensive to me.
Is anyone here a non-water drinker? Is this a thing? What's that?
Does anyone know anyone who's got a fear of air? Because that would be interesting, wouldn't it? If you're scared of air.
I think fish have that.
I mean,
Fish is scared of air,
a lot of people have a fear of falling through the air, but I don't know if that's quite the same thing.
I've heard someone is allergic to sunlight. They can't get it because I don't know why.
Again, that sounds very unfortunate. Unless they live in like Alaska or something. Sorry, did you have your hand up?
No.
But Jojo did. It doesn't have to be this, but a food that you like or have an aversion to, a hatred of.
Like people say that water doesn't taste of anything, but then it does. But even if it did taste of nothing, it tasted of something, nothing.
Whoa. That's deep. All right, there we go. Back to philosophy. I like this.
It's a bit like if, say, for example, you look at the sun and then you look at a white piece of paper, then you see a purple dot on the paper, and it's the same with the taste of water.
Ah. So
it's like it's got like the white paper has got a colour, but it's just the opposite of colour of what you've actually been looking at, and that's probably the same with the taste of water.
Well, if you go to different places, the water tastes different, doesn't it?
Well, tell us about that.
Well, you know, you think water tastes of nothing, but then, like, you know, when I was a little lad, I used to go on holiday in Wales. That's where we always used to go, and you drink the water there, and it always tasted a little bit flat and
flat. What do you mean?
Yeah, slightly tangy.
Well,
because it's different. It's come through different stones.
I'll come to Harriet in a second.
It's because the water you drink in your home is still a product that's produced by a plant and come to your home, even though it's people.
Where I live, it's chalk and it's all filtered and tastes like, you know, tastes like water coming through chalk. Where if I go and visit my gran who lives 30 miles away, but they live on clay, different tasting water. Didn't like it as a kid. Didn't like it.
Let's just hear from Harriet. Have you got comments on water or?
If you had water, how is it the same as ice though?
What?
Like.
How are they the same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I watched a documentary about that. Like
about ice.
It's really cool. Well, it was by Brian Cox, so it was extra good. So one of the parts was about how ice floats on water, and it's because I've forgotten exactly why, but then he came to talk about the structure of water, and the structure of water is a little. It's a thingy, and then two small thingies, which it looks like a rocket ship, and then loads of them joined together.
But how do you reckon that changes how it tastes between place to place?
I don't. Wait, hang on. Why was?
Can I ask? What the difference was water and ice?
Yeah.
Does ice taste different from water?
Yeah.
That's a good question, I think. Is that taste?
So is coldness a taste? Is that what you're saying?
It depends if it's like cold water. But then you need ice in the water to make it cold water. But then making it colder would change what it tastes like because you have a different feeling about what it tastes like.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So there's more than just the flavour. There's kind of like temperature affects how you appreciate
with the different tastes of water, I find ice from different places always tastes the same when the water doesn't.
Interesting. Okay.
Is that because it's harder to taste cold things? That's why they chill white wine. It's because actually, if you drink it warm, it's quite, you know, it's quite bitter and not particularly tasty. But when it's chilled, you take a lot of that edge off, and you can just taste it.
We've got 4 people who want to talk. Let's do it in this order. Harriet.
I wonder how water turns to ice. I mean, I know it goes in the freezer, but how does it freeze? Because
I think Mikey's going to give you the answer here.
Well, you've got everything's made up of tiny little particles called molecules, and the thing about the molecules is there's water molecules. They're very sticky. They stick to each other, which is why water forms drops. So the water wants to stick to each other, but it keeps moving around when it's wet. But then when it freezes, the water just, because you take the movement out of the water, it just sticks to just one molecule, so it becomes solid. Does that make any sense?
When it gets colder, the molecules slow down.
Okay.
And when it gets colder, the molecules slow down. So when they slow down, the water is less flexible, so it forms a solid, basically.
Does that make sense? So water is molecules, and when they're running around very quickly, it's liquid, and when they slow down, it becomes a solid. Anyway, yeah.
I'm thinking about why ice that grows inside the freezer tastes different from ice that's in ice cubes, and whether that's because if you turn your freezer on to make it go icy, you don't pump water in there. It's not like water the same as out of the tap that's getting frozen. So I wonder if that's because that's the water that's in the air that is being frozen, because it just tastes weird. Like it doesn't taste the same as blocky
frozen
ice.
air tastes different to frozen water.
If you chip off the ice out of the freezer, if your freezer's a bit,
It tastes all the smells that are in the house then get condensed into the ice.
That sounds
That's
gross.
Why. So like if you've been cooking, then all those cooking smells, all those smells.
I imagine that would just taste like Bovril.
The frozen Bovril ice lolly.
Oh, someone's going to make that. Someone's going to market that. Thomas.
Well, back to why, like how water is still processed and everything. Well, it's quite like I have these two pets called axolotls, and what they are salamanders which haven't.
That's a very obscure pet.
Yeah, well, they're salamanders which haven't grown into adult salamanders, so they look like tadpoles, which are coloured with massive gills. They're like this, and it looks really cool. That like makes their main characteristics and arms and legs. I have a black one and a yellow one, and so they, when we go to like we clean out their tank using a what's it called, a siphon, and then we put water back into it, and you have to leave the water in sunlight for 24 hours to make all the chemicals that people put into it to make the water clean and everything to come out of it, because that hurts the fossils.
Okay.
But I think
that's like it sounds like the exact opposite of that kind of.
So the reason I think
to make the water clean.
I think the reason why it tastes different in Scotland is because it might be either manufactured differently or just it's manufactured less. Because I think Scottish water is more pure. It's like when you try and get soap off with the water, it's a lot harder because of how soft it is.
Right.
There's another tip. If you've got a coffee machine, if you let the water sit for 24 hours, the coffee tastes better as well.
There we go. That's a handy hint. Although that's a lot of effort for a cup of coffee. I fancy a cup of coffee. How long do you have to wait? 24 hours.
Yeah. It's not worth the wait. Basically, I wouldn't wait that long. But if you've got some water sitting around, it tastes better.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind. Your name isn't Keen. Your name was Matt. Yep. Yes.
Keen.
It's so misleading.
What are you presenting the microphone?
Oh, I thought you had your hand up. You sort of leaning like that. Yeah. Anyway, so where are we going with this? We've been talking about hard water, soft water, ice, which is I guess kind of hard water. Are we about to talk about ketchup again, or are we going to go somewhere else?
Frozen ketchup.
Frozen ketchup is ketchup ice lollies. Margaret, what's your thought on this or anything else that we've been?
I think my brain is empty of any thoughts on ketchup, so apologies for that. But I just been over to the tent over there, and I think they're doing karaoke. Basically, they're doing karaoke, Bowie versus.
That's why we lost most of our table quite recently to Bowie and Prince karaoke.
Right,
yeah.
but that is an art form. That is an art performance, and I'm
is
like.
It? Okay.
That's just a frigging karaoke.
You don't approve? You don't think it's an art performance?
I don't think it's.
Why not?
I mean, well, it is, but it's not something. No, I don't think it's an art performance at all. No.
So all those people are performing. So is that different from anyone else that's on stage performing?
But performance is like you go in, you buy a ticket, and you see someone perform. That is the performance. That, as I see it, just because I like go up and just like sing a song, that doesn't make me a performer.
I'll come to these guys. Is it going to be ketchup or is it going to be relate?
No, it's
okay.
not. Well,
Does this sound like art to you? What they're doing in there?
Well, music is art. My dad makes
fair
music,
point.
and yeah.
Does this sound like art though? So Margot's saying that because they're just doing karaoke.
David Bowie songs.
Well, but they're just doing karaoke, and she's saying, is the karaoke?
It's not an art form. Sorry, but karaoke is not an art form.
Oh, Mikey says it is.
It just is. It's just somebody performing. Just because it's not like high art, it doesn't mean some people do karaoke very well. Not me. I do it very badly. Therefore, that's bad art when I do it, but it's very good when somebody that can sing does it.
But like this performing that we're doing now, the Talkaoke version, I would argue is definitely an artwork. Yes. Like this thing.
You've just made Mikey's entire weekend.
I know,
now,
yeah.
But oh, hang on, sorry.
Why is it a performance? Because it's on screens, or what makes a performance?
No, I think the on screens thing is almost to the side. Like it doesn't matter so much. But the having something set up that brings people together to talk about different things, to work out a conversation together. Unless there was this set up, all of us here wouldn't be talking with each other because of different, like societal reasons or different ideas. So there's a level of artifice, definitely, like there's the artifice, yes.
Yes, let's explain for some of our members here.
Something that is made artificially. So like this is all kind of been made for this purpose, rather than just like magicking up out of nowhere. So then that I would say that sense of like intention, maybe that's where the thing being an artwork.
What do we reckon about? Yeah. So does that validate that karaoke is
by a similar token? Would Prime Minister's questions be an art? Or?
It's definitely a performance.
Oh, okay.
So I think this is really interesting, but also it's like, we wouldn't talk unless we sat around this table. But how about people like having conversations over lunches, like in school canteens or something? Is that an art form?
I mean, I think it's maybe not an art form, but it's a performance. And I think it's a question of, as you said, of the artifice involved in it. I mean, whether this Talkaoke is an art form or not, to me is not that much of an issue as to how much people can express themselves and perform in the sense of their talking, listening, relating to other people. So, yeah, I mean, whether it's an art, whether karaoke is art or not, isn't really, they're not bothered over there whether that's art or not, they're just enjoying it.
Okay. Yeah, where are we going to... Let's save that. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. You haven't said it. I kind of want to get around with names, because I know most names, I don't know all names. And final thoughts as well. Should we get a final thought from Ross? Should we get just a final thought before you leave?
Final thought.
And I might actually jump out. Yep.
I'm just slightly distracted by the fact I've got to meet a friend. I've been on my own for 2 days, and I've actually got to go and meet a friend now to show him where their
friends here.
I'll be back. I will definitely be back. This has been one of my favourite things at Supernormal.
Brilliant.
So,
good to hear that.
Yeah, and I'm loving the desk. It looks like you need buttons, and you're about to fly a spaceship on the inside of the desk.
There's loads of buttons. Yeah. Brilliant. Okay. Well, I might actually jump out of the middle and put somebody else in the middle. Let's pick Margot randomly. Yeah. Cool. Okay.
Grab the mic.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do we want to get some final thoughts for this session, or are we just going to keep it hot? Let's give Rowan a massive round of applause. He's been in. I would suggest, Rowan, you put your tent up because we had to basically squeeze our tent between two other tents. It was a little bit of a tense situation, I have to say. I know.
Definitely not.
I know. And the person came out and gave me a nasty look, and I said, "I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm doing." And she said to me, "How long have you been working in this field?" Sorry. I had to do it. It's a release for me. Do you know what I mean?
You should be in the middle.
Yeah. I should be in the middle.
He was all morning.
Yeah.